All right, kind of a race day after the race on Sunday. I think I still got dirt in my mustache. That little red clay was everywhere. I had the red clay socks. Like everything below my socks and my feet were just as white as the rest of me. Um, but I want to talk about something that you could see it in my video, from different races, and you could see it in other people's videos from just around the kart world and how things are going. And I don't like it, and I'm not saying the kart or the tracks are doing it wrong or that they need to change the rules, but I think some of it needs to get under control. Uh, like I forget what track we were at. Maybe it was during the World 100. But anyway, I don't want to put tracks names out there. I just raced a track over the weekend, so you'll probably assume it's them. And it did happen at their track, and it happens everywhere else. But it's more of how they using the transponders to go back to the last completed lap and give your position back. That we struggled with carburetor all night yesterday, so I'm not going to say that it helped or prevented us from winning anything because we were struggling. But it's aggravating, it's frustrating that we go from next to last to third, and as we're coming to third, second, third, and fourth spin out in turn four. So we end up being second at one point, and that track was so dusty that you couldn't tell who caused the wreck. But they all come back around since the last completed lap showed them where they were, and they all lined back up. As far as I know, none of those guys went to the rear. And then they got one guy spun out on the backstretch, another guy spun out on the front stretch. So the guy that caused the wreck on the backstretch, brought out the caution. The guy that spun out on the front stretch gets to go back to his position. That, you know, and the guy spun out like 3 or 4 times in the race, but luckily it was somebody else spinning out too that he never got caught for the caution. And because I think there was a 2 caution or 3 caution rule. If he caused it, you had to leave the track. Well, if they would have looked at this guy, he spun out a lot. Like a lot of the cautions were called just by him, and so every time we would progress, during the caution, we're back 2 or 3 more spots because we only spun out once, and that's when we got pushed to the high side, and it bent the chain guard when we backed into the berm that the track had made. So here we are racing, not spinning out, not causing cautions, and come all the way up through the field and get to a third and start on a restart, start third. But I don't, I get to the fact that, if you didn't cause the caution, like some dude over there spins out and you spin out, but you didn't, the flag man looks at me like you didn't cause a caution, but they saw you spin out. Both of you should go to the rear. That's just my opinion. Like I'm not trying to bash tracks or anything, so don't say this is an opinion and maybe tracks will listen to it. And but technically, you both spun out. You both caused the caution because as a dude spun out on the back stretch, this dude spins out on the front stretch, and everybody has to dodge him and try not to hit him, which could cause another wreck. Which, at that point, who do you consider caused the biggest caution on the track? The guy that spun out and got stuck on the berm that really didn't was in nobody's way at the time that the caution happened. They had to throw a caution to get him out and dig him out of the berm because it's a loose dirt berm. So when you go up in it, you stop pretty quick, but you also flip pretty quick because there's 2 people that flipped, and and the way the berm's made it, that's what bent our chain guard. But who should get the caution penalty? To me, if you both spun out, even on different parts of the track, you both go to the rear because people have to dodge you and lose positions or gain positions around you. The last completed lap is good, and the only reason people do that, or the way I see the reason they're doing that, is because they have the race monitor and all that to where they can go last completed and be like, well, just line it up. This way, it's easier. Well, at the time that everybody's racing through and not causing any cautions and gains positions that way, they get screwed because we don't race back to the caution. I guess that's what you would call racing back to the caution. And I think it would help control the dive bombing situations, because if we, there's people that go in, they dive bomb people and then cause the other person to spin out, and if the track doesn't see it, then, or they both spin out, who gets the position back? Well, they usually give both of them their position back because they don't know who caused the caution. If you cause the caution, if both of you spin out and the track didn't see you and you're getting pulled off the berm around, both of you go to the back. Plain and simple. I mean, I'm talking about these rules here, and the rules would affect me, and then, I would have to stick to them. I understand it'd be aggravating, and I'd probably get aggravated, and everybody else would get aggravated if that rule came out. But it's aggravating to watch your guy go from last to third, and then every time, they wreck, and he weaves his way through and makes a position, he has to go back 3 or 4 positions because the last completed lap of the guys that wrecked in front of him get their position back. And it happens at every track. Like the track, the one that I can't remember which track it was, but the top 4 got tangled up going into turn 2. And it, come back around, last completed lap, they all got to go back. And you could not determine who caused that wreck. And at that point, it shouldn't matter who caused the wreck. You all should go to the back. And I know a lot of people ain't going to like that because they're like, well, if I didn't cause the caution, I shouldn't go to the rear. True. But at the same time, why do other racers get screwed if you can't tell who it was? Maybe you can give the leader a little leeway. Maybe the leader is blocking. That's what I'm saying, is you never know truly who's causing the caution. But the other people get screwed about it, as they're weaving their way through and making it up there, and then have to go back 4 or 5 positions. When we made it through, or anybody makes it through. It's just weird to stand there and watch it on the sidelines. And I know the flagman can't catch it all. That's the whole point. But I think the people on the track, because when I worked at Clay City, we all had radios, and if I saw something happen, and they're like, hey, the caution, if I call the caution over here and there's 2 guys over here, I would tell the guy on the tower, I was like, the number 4 cart caused it. He tried to come in and run down on the guy. He was stuck on the outside. He could have dropped back down to his position and, tucked in and kept going. But he run down on the guy, tried to save his position. We can tell, as the guy, the cornerman can tell you, like, hey, he had, half cart up front. The guy, if the guy says he didn't see him, then he doesn't need to be racing because he was obviously beside him when he run back down on him. So, I don't know how to fix that. It's just, it's frustrating. And I'm not saying it's frustrating because we lost or, we didn't even complete the race because, like I said, we spun out and broke the go-kart or damaged the go-kart. We didn't break it. But to stand there and watch, not us, but all the people that were following us because, they seem to, all right, we're making it through. Why is all these dudes up front? Because, and I get it. Those guys are racing for the front spot and they're coming in hard and they spin out and slide out. That track is dusty. If you don't stay in the groove or you can't hold it, you're going to the top. It made it challenging, and it was a 1-groove track, so you had to push. You had to nudge most of the time, or I think coming out of turn 2, if you could get a good run and come down under, you'd be able to drive down the backstretch. I think it's where I see most of the passing coming out of turn 2, because turn 2 is where you're coming off of that downhill, the first downhill leg. So your cart is trying to push itself out. So you can, if you gauge it right, that's where most of the passing was coming out of turn 2. But that's just another rant video, and it's about, why we don't do it that way. How come we don't race back to the caution? And how come when, if you're going to say you're going to go to the last completed lap, that kind of screws the people that didn't cause the wreck to begin with. That just made it up. If they're sitting there following these dudes and they're not willing to go in and push them and get them out of the way, because they don't want to be considered a dirty driver, when all those guys wreck and slide up and this guy comes through, he should keep that position. Maybe there's something in the scoring system that will allow you to look at the last lap, but figure out who came across after that. Be like, all right, you 3 caused the caution, and then hopefully, or you dropped positions because you were part of the caution, not caused it. So maybe the tower guy find out who caused the wreck and be like, all right, you're going to the rear, you 2 can go to the front. or if somebody else on the track, one of the cornermen, could be tell them that, because it was aggravating. I mean, maybe it's aggravating because we struggled all day and we wasn't part of it, and all that. Maybe different, if it was me that was caught up and did I want my position back, would I be sitting here making this video? I don't know, but if I'm going to sit here and bitch about it, trust me, I'd follow the rule. That's trying to teach Luca the same thing. If you're caught up in a caution, go back to the position you was and tell the track to put you where you were. And that, because at that point, who knows who they're going to judge the caution. If you just go straight to the rear every time you spin out, or, if you're going to do good sportsmanship and do that, good on you. But, you've got to learn how the tracks are doing it. Each track's different. Do I go up and try to get my position back, or do I go straight to the rear? Because I don't know who's calling the caution, because there was 3 of us that spun out. And all 3 of you, pretty much all 3 of you are going to say you didn't cause the caution. So that's what I'm saying is, protest on the track. Don't slow down the race, but be like, look, here it is on video. Figure out how to, do it better. Don't go up there raising hell with the track owners, because they might just chunk you and tell you to get the hell out. The call was made. Sorry, go to the next race and move on. But that's my rant video for today of how cautions are done and how you don't race back to the caution, or you make it up and then as soon as let's go back to the last completed lap, everybody else has to fall back, even though they didn't cause it and they made it to the back across the score line, so they could be marked as, hey, here you go. And if you had to race back to the caution, maybe people wouldn't sit and wait for the caution, because you get those guys that are pretty good with their tire game, got a good enough motor, they'll wait for the caution, and in that way they can start right on the rear and not be almost caught by the leader. That if because some tracks, if you get lapped, you got to come off. So if you're going to jump back out on the track and you've already lost all your momentum, the leader comes back and laps you, got to leave. But if you sit and wait for the caution, and then you'll be stuck on the rear, and then you can dart ahead of all the slow people real quick, try to work your way back through without being lapped down. There's strategies to all the racing, and it plays in your favor if you know how to do them. And I don't knock people for doing it or trying it, because it's racing. Sometimes you got to get every advantage if you can, when you can. But the tracks have to look at that and control the advantage across the field for everybody else. That, hey, why am I going to do this when you're the one that caused all the wrecks, or you've already spun out 3 times, but we ain't called the caution on you. Get off the track because you're slowing down the race, or I mean, I guess he's not slowing down the race if they didn't cause a caution, but the guy, if you look at the video, he got lucky enough that every time he spun out, there was a caution somewhere else. So it is what it is, on whether the track wanted to say, hey, either stop spinning out, because you're putting a lot of other people in danger, because you're spinning through the field and they're having to dodge and come around you. But they paid for their admission, they paid for their race, let them race, until the track tells them not to. Like I said, this is just my rant, and get some ideas from other people, and I'm not bashing any track, I'm not calling out any track. It's just something that kind of aggravated me this weekend, and something I want to talk about. If we can't talk about it, then don't follow me, because I don't want to be a dick or an asshole about it. But just let's talk about we can talk about all the stuff we did and how good we did, and we didn't really do no good. So what else could we talk about? Is how to help tracks improve their scoring and their rules. You can call it constructive criticism. I'm going back to the track. Don't know when. I mean, it's a 4.5 hour drive, so it'd be one of those times when we schedule, find something to run in and go up there, because we got to get our motor fixed and go redeem ourselves. Because I think we could have been top 3 if we would have been able to come off the start. And now that we know what gears we should be running, we were looking at the size of the track, and I don't think we were really worried about trying to gear up that hill. I think that was hurting us in the beginning. What gear gets us up that hill the quickest? So like, share, and subscribe. Just a rant video for today, not bashing any track, so don't turn it into a track bashing section or session. And I'll talk to you later.